Welcome to Real Deal. I am Brian Rose and we are live here at London Real World headquarters. This is our weekly show where I talk straight to you. I've got questions going live here on Facebook and on YouTube. So anything you want to know about anything, now is the time to ask. Today, I want to give you an update on what's happening here at London Real Studios. We got some amazing guests coming up, including the return of Dorian Yates. Super pumped about that. Also, we're going to be dropping our movie Iron Minds. And later in the show, I want to talk about my predictions for the fight. To be honest, folks, I always wanted to do UFC predictions. And this is MMA, if you don't know it. It's the no rules fighting that I have been following since 2002. I actually went to my first UFC at Royal Albert Hall in 2002. I think it was UFC 38. And I saw Frank Mir get knocked out by Ian Freeman. I still remember that. It was amazing. And I've been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now for 16 years. I've been training in Thai boxing. I got my nose broken in Thailand with a high kick on Boxing Day, actually many years ago. Then I went to Japan and I watched the Pride Fighting Championship. I became very good friends with Marilla Bustamante and the Brazilian top team down in Rio. I trained with those guys and was there back in the day when Anderson Silva was training with them. It was really a crazy time. The Nogueira brothers used to be on the mat when I was there. So I've got a real long history with mixed martial arts, and I'm really opinionated about the fighters. I know a lot of them, and I'm going to tell you my predictions for the fight coming up on Saturday, and it's Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, and I'm super excited for this fight, and I'm going to tell you who's going to KO who in what round, because I'm that smart. But before we get to that, I just want to tell you what's been happening here at London Real Studios. You probably noticed that my voice is a little gravelly, and that's because I was here last night until almost midnight. I actually spoke for 4 hours and 40 minutes straight because I was talking to people about building their own business. And to be honest, we're celebrating 7 years of London Real next month. 7 years I've been sitting down, having conversations and putting them on YouTube with some of the most incredible people in the world. And if you look back to episode 1, man, I had no idea what I was doing. I couldn't even talk in front of a camera. I had bad facial hair. I wore G-Star Raw. And I really didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that it made me feel good. I knew I was really getting connected back to humanity. I knew I was doing something that for once in my life wasn't just about me and how much money I was going to make or the Lamborghini I was going to buy or blah, blah, blah. And I kept doing it because it felt good. It was one of the few times I used my gut to make a decision in my life. Usually I'm very logic-based or very money-based, and I would travel anywhere in the world for the right amount of money. I would make things for logical decisions, but I wasn't very emotional. And London Real was the first time where I thought, you know what? This doesn't make any sense. My friends and family think I'm an idiot. My banker buddies laugh at me. And this thing doesn't make any money, and yet I'm still going to keep doing it. And that's the reason London Real exists today. And that's the reason that so many of those incredible episodes that hopefully have changed your life and the movies that we made, the reason those exist is because I felt this kind of higher purpose and higher calling to what we were doing. And I'll be honest, today it's even stronger than ever. And we're hitting a 7-year anniversary this month, actually. And I'm looking forward to the next 100 years. I'm super excited about what we're doing. I am so steadfast. I am so committed to this mission, and I will not waver, and I know exactly what's going on. I can almost see it in the future. Like Conor can see his KOs in the cage, I can see a bunch of the things that we're doing. And every now and then people question me and say, Brian, are you sure this is right? Are you sure this is? And I'm like, yeah, trust me. I know what I'm doing because this has bigger purpose. And so I always encourage people when they come to me and say, Brian, I want to start a business like you. I've watched London Real. You went from your apartment and webcams, and then you built this incredibly brand new world headquarters. You're doing these beautiful movies that are almost Hollywood quality. You're traveling all around the world. You're going to Israel to train with Ido Portal, who's of course one of Conor's trainers. You're flying to America to compete in the Ironman. I can see everything you're doing, so you must be getting your money right. And I always tell people, you got to get your money right, or nothing else becomes right. If you're constantly worried about money, if you're constantly telling people how you don't have any money, if you're constantly being poor, I always say, and I agree with Grant Cardone, poor people are selfish. I really believe that's true. And if you talk all day about how you don't have any money and always talk about things are too expensive and always talk about blah, 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 you waste everyone's time with your constant victimhood. And you don't actually step up and stop being selfish and actually do something about it. Because when you can solve your money problems, you can be of use to other people around you, including your friends and your family. What about your community? But when you're constantly running the same dialogue of I'm poor in my head, you're not of use to anyone, and you're actually just being really selfish and self-pitying and self-wallowing. And so stop it. You know what you need to do. The steps are in front of you. It's actually not hard. It just means you got to step up, make it happen, find a mentor, find a roadmap or a blueprint, and get the accountability and make it happen. And if you don't, save the excuses and save the whining and save the pity party, because it doesn't help anyone. And so I know that might be a little controversial if I say that, but I really believe it. And again, thank you to Grant Cardone for putting that in perspective when he was here in the studio. And so people constantly come to me and say, Brian, can you show me how to do what you did? Because you took something you were passionate about and you turned it into a business so you can do it every single day. And I see you getting happier and connected to the greatest people in the world. And at first I said, no, I'm too busy with London Real, right? For the first 3 years, I didn't even think about charging money. I was just staying on the path. I really wanted to just create great content, grow as a person, be a better person. But as of a few years ago, I started thinking, you know what? I guess we do know some things. We know how to run a business in the digital era. And I actually went to the MIT Sloan School of Business. It's one of the greatest business schools in the world. And I learned options theory, investment banking, accounting. And I was actually studying with the MBA students. And the truth is, and later I went on to become a banker on Wall Street, the truth is that nothing they taught me is relevant to building a business today. And I love you, MIT, and I'm sure one day I'm going to buy a building for you. But right now, you don't understand how to do business in the digital age, and you don't teach it. I actually teach it. And these days, you can create a website in minutes. You can be online and be talking to thousands of people live in a matter of minutes. You can do all these things for free. And so there's never been a better opportunity than right now to put your personal brand out there, put yourself on video, test your product, set up websites, set up landing pages, get emails, get autoresponders, set up a free product on video, set up a low-cost product, run your own webinar, and then sell. And that's exactly what I have ended up teaching my students. And I've taught people that love everything all around the world. I have people that love coffee, that love movement, that love medicine, that love Reiki, that love yoga. And they've created businesses about their passion for these things. I had a 14-year-old girl in Hawaii who created a business around teaching children how to accept their stepfathers and stepmothers, because she had had that experience. And I had an 85-year-old guy from Brazil who was teaching senior citizens that their life doesn't have to end when they turn 65, that they actually can be part of a community. This works for any person in any country, as long as you're passionate and you're willing to put yourself out there, usually on video, and you're willing to take risks and get uncomfortable and basically do what I say for 8 weeks. And it's going to be hard, and sometimes you're going to want to not do it. But the point is that I'm going to get you across the goal line kicking and screaming if necessary. And so last night, I was talking for 4.5 hours on our live masterclass, Bulletproof Your Business Idea. And I had hundreds and hundreds of people from around the world, and I was walking them through the basics. Find your passion, find your talent, find the intersection of those two, then test the market with video blogs and find out what they're feeling from you. Once you do that, then I need you to go online and start seeing, are there competitors? Are there anybody else making money in a digital product? And once you do all of that due diligence, you can know with almost a 90% certainty whether your idea will generate money. And that's the biggest problem that most people make today, is they don't test their idea before they invest in it. It's a huge mistake. Now, don't get me wrong, great entrepreneurs take risk. And good entrepreneurs take risk. But the difference between the good and the great is that great entrepreneurs take calculated risks. And so I've seen people waste 6 months of their life and half of their savings on an idea that they never even tested, and it ends up failing. And so I teach you a way to quickly test it in the market to where you can have a 90% chance of knowing it's going to make money. And once we know that, we go all in. We create the product before it's ready. You start and sell before you're ready. You fulfill before you're ready, you teach before you're ready, and that's how you get your first 100,000 in the bank. And so that's what we're doing lately. A couple times a year, I open up our Business Accelerator program, and a bunch of these people joined me last night. A guy named James Boag, who's here in England. He's going to start his yoga practice. He's really well versed in yoga and Reiki. He's traveled the world, but he's like, Brian, I don't understand how to get it online. So he pulled the trigger and joined. I also had Emmy Kasalian. She is from Finland, and she's passionate about telling stories, and she wants to teach business people how to use storytelling to sell their products. I think this is a fantastic idea, and to be honest, I just did that, right? I told you a story that talked about our business, so it's a great thing. And then Stin Sabel as well. She has an incredible practice in meditation, and she's going to join us as well and teach people around the world how to use her specific practice. She's going to make money with digital products, so she doesn't have to be there. And she can scale these to literally thousands of people. She can sell them as she sleeps. And that's the kind of thing that we teach inside the Business Accelerator. So if you want to know more about that, I highly encourage you. I have a bunch of free videos. It's all at londonreal.tv/biz, B-I-Z. We do have a second masterclass on Thursday, and it's how to go from zero to a seven-figure business. I'm going to show you everything we did right and wrong here at London Real over the last 7 years. And again, 3.5 years ago, I didn't even have a business. We learned the hard way. We went from 0 to 120,000 Twitter followers the hard way. We went from 0 to 100 million views the hard way. I made every mistake along the way, but I learned, and now we have an incredible way of teaching people that requires accountability. And that is when I ask you to do something, and then I make sure that you did it. And that's what's lacking in every other single online course out there right now. They send you the videos after you pay the price, and they say, do it when you can. Here's a Facebook group, maybe you check it out. And what happens is that only 5% of the people actually complete the course. And that's true about books. Only 5% of the people actually finish the book. And so with our course, 96% of the people graduate, which is why you see these amazing graduation ceremonies we have in London, which are, of course, optional after the course. People fly in, and that's why I have these incredible stories. I had people like John McMahon who joined my course 14 months ago. He was suffering from type 2 diabetes. He was in his 50s. He was overweight. He'd actually burned his feet on a campfire he was standing on that he didn't know because he had no feeling left in his toes because of his diet. And he took my course, and he was empowered by the use of video. And he said, Brian, I'm going to travel the country. I'm going to interview experts. I'm going to post everything online. And he ended up creating something called I Thrive, which is a video series that teaches people how to change their diet, how to start moving, and how to save their life. And he just sent me a message a few months ago and said, Brian, I just did a $1.6 million launch. I said, what? He said, I did a $1.6 million launch based on everything you taught me. And John was there at the finish line for my Ironman race in Chattanooga, Tennessee. You'll see in the movie, he's the guy interviewing me. I give him a big hug. The truth is these people become part of my family because, you know, we really change each other's lives. And so I just want to give a shout out to John McMahon. Also, one of my students, Roger Frampton, was a personal trainer before this, but really struggling because he was just selling his time for money. And if you're in the personal training space, or even in the law space or the doctor space, or even working at Starbucks, all you do is you sell your time for money. At some point, you can't raise your rates anymore. It's hard to go into Starbucks and say, you know what, I need to make more money this year, you're going to pay me £100 an hour. They're going to say no. You have to take the intellectual property in your head, digitize it into a product, and then sell that product online to potentially millions of people. That's how you get ahead. And I taught Roger through 8 weeks everything he needed to know, and he's doing that right now. Roger ended up making over $20,000 over the course of 8 weeks. And again, it's not about the money, folks, but that gives Roger the decision and the choice to live wherever he wants. He's in Los Angeles right now, or he's in Vegas. I can barely follow him on Instagram. And he's teaching clients from around the world from his laptop. I mean, this is a guy that used to be a personal trainer. So for anybody out there that's in that situation, we can show you how to do that. And again, I just love talking about my students. I've also got a woman named Virginia Zarnacki, who was a lawyer in Scotland for most of her life, but realized she hated it. I mean, how many of you hate your job, right? I hated being a banker. And so she left, she went to the Cayman Islands, and she started teaching women how to tie box. She's actually really good. But she was struggling to try to make that into a revenue-generating business with, again, only a certain amount of time. And so she took our course. She was really pessimistic, really skeptic. She's old school Scottish, but she started making sales, and she started making $1,000, $10,000. She made $30,000 by the end of the course. For the next 12 months, she says, Brian, I'm projecting to make $2.5 million. I said, what? She's like, yep, I'm going into crypto. I'm going into scaling my business. I've got JV partners, and she's taken things to the next level. And again, Virginia is now one of my instructors inside the academy. It's kind of like Top Gun. If you pass the Top Gun school, we ask the elite people to come back and actually teach the course. And so she's going to be teaching in our next Business Accelerator, which starts 2 weeks from today on the first live call. And again, it's 8 weeks in a row. It's a live accountability process where I speak to you live. I push you. I get you out of your comfort zone every day for 56 days in a row. And when I do that, you just improve exponentially, and you get to a place where you don't even recognize yourself. Your friends and family say, something's different about you. I've never seen you so happy, so confident, so optimistic. And when that money starts coming in, it gives you choices. It means you can quit your job, you can hire that first employee, and it means you can actually help more people around the world. And I believe that if we continue doing this, I have a goal of 100,000 students in the next 5 years, and each one of those people lives their passion every day and affects 100, 1,000, 10,000 people around them, we'll start doing the math. We start to have a major shift in the world as far as people and their energy. And I believe if everybody did what they were passionate about, the world would be a different place. But right now, I'd say about 1% of you do what you're passionate about. I call it the 1%ers. It's not the rich people, it's the people who get to do what they love every day. That's the kind of people that I'm creating inside the academy. And if you're interested in that, come take a look inside. It's londonreal.tv/biz, B-I-Z. We have a second masterclass Thursday, 7 o'clock London time if you want to sign up for that. londonreal.tv/masterclass. And I'm going to be teaching all of the fundamentals. I'm going to talk about digital products, product life cycles, and I'm going to show you case studies of students that make it happen in real time. These are real people. You can look them up on Twitter. You can buy their courses. They'll thank me. And you can watch them evolve as students, and I'm going to share with you all the intellectual property. So we're doing that. This course is going to close out in the next few days, so if you're interested, join us. Like I said, we do it once or twice a year, and we'd love to have you to be a part of it. Again, accountability is what makes us different. I'm there with you every step of the way. If you don't do the work, I literally call you out and say, hey, what's going on in front of the whole class. So it's an amazing way to really get yourself to do the things you need to do and stop procrastinating. So many of my students have been procrastinating for years when it comes to actually changing their life, and that's what we're doing on the inside. So super excited for that. And again, before I get on and start talking about my predictions for the fight, and that is, of course, Conor McGregor against Khabib from AKA, you know, I love the guys at American Kickboxing Academy. I want to play for you a short video that we just made about Roger Frampton, who's, again, the recent graduate of my Business Accelerator. And Roger was a personal trainer in London. He was taking the train into work at 5 a.m. every morning. He was trying to train clients. He was getting exhausted, trading his time for money. His business was going nowhere. And he came to me and said, Brian, I'm stuck. I'm really in a bad place, and I need your help. And here is a video about what happened to Roger with me and inside the Business Accelerator. Here it is.
I'm Roger Frampton. I'm a movement coach. I'm a hard worker. However, I tend to focus a lot doing stuff that doesn't really benefit my business. It's just I'm working on the wrong thing at the wrong time. From the outside, it seems like I'm quite successful, but in reality, I'm losing a lot of money.
What made you think, okay, I've got to try something new in my business?
I had a dream, and I want to be able to run my business from anywhere in the world and not always be stuck getting a train in and out of London every day.
You pulled the trigger, which wasn't an easy decision, right? It's not like you had a lot of money, but you did it anyways and you invested.
Dude, I just remember you mentioning this Business Accelerator in the park, and it's just been going around and around in my head. Like, I'm a personal trainer. I've been doing the same thing for like, 5, 6 years. The only thing I do different is just I keep upping my prices.
So you're trading your time for money.
Exactly.
And that can only get you so far.
Yeah, I feel like that. I don't want to be doing this when I'm like 90 years old, you know, and I feel like I'm just putting myself further and further into this trap.
But you probably don't even realize how much value is in your head. Whether you know how to teach someone about flexibility, you know how to train me on a muscle up. Like, you're very good at what you do. We all have intellectual property. I can teach people how to build businesses. My video team can teach people how to make movies. But you can actually take the intellectual property in your head and put it into a product. You can literally make money while you sleep, but it takes a specific process and a specific blueprint to get it out of your head, put it into a product, create the videos, and then sell that.
I don't make videos. Like, I'm a trainer, do you know what I mean? Like, that's all I know. I know I can coach someone one-to-one, but I don't make videos.
Yeah, and I hear this all the time, but look, this is the new digital age. It's not hard. You got one of these in your pocket, right? You can literally have your face in front of thousands of people in the next 2 minutes. The only thing keeping you from doing it is what? Fear, a little bit of worry. But if you could push through that, I guarantee you can make money.
I know what Brian's done. I know what he's done with London Real. I want to do that, so therefore I'm going to take the advice from someone who's done that. So I was like, well, it makes complete sense for me to just follow his path.
This course is not about who puts in the more time. It's not about who has a better college degree, who has more money. It's all about who goes into the fear, all right? That's really the truth. Some of you were talking about how awesome the energy is in here, right? Is everybody feeling this energy?
And this is where I pull out this most amazing device that can really change your life, and it's your phone. And I want you to turn on record and point it at yourself, and I want you to talk about something that intersects these two circles for the next 2 minutes.
All right guys, let's talk about the standing position, which later we're going to be trying in restaurants. Okay, so feet together, heels pushed against each other.
The fact that I just started blogging and then these people, you know, got involved and was like, oh, I just realized what you do. I was like, I don't know, it's just really weird just to know that these people were out there the whole time. It was just me that needed to step out and do something. They're not gonna suddenly message me and go, hey Roger, I'd like to spend some money with you.
A lot of people don't understand that your business has different sectors of products, all right? It starts off with this. This is what we call free product. And that's what? It costs exactly nothing. You've been pumping free product out already in the terms of the vlogs you've been putting out. The next comes low-cost product. Your first minimum viable product, your LCP, where you actually charge money for people.
The low-cost product is called Bulletproof Your Body. And Bulletproof Your Body is a 6-part video series. I really believe that my video series and eventually buying my course is going to completely change people's lives, because when you really discover how your body moves, you know, you're gonna hit enlightenment. I really believe that. I'm so glad I discovered human movement.
Almost every other business needs a prime offering. And this is anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. Now, a lot of new entrepreneurs, maybe like you, think, Brian, there's no way anyone's gonna pay me $1,000, let alone $5,000 for something I'm gonna teach online in a digital product. And guess what? You're wrong.
Getting someone to pay $2K, even though I know deep down I'm changing their lives and I can really take them to the next level, I just don't know how to ask for it. Brian's like, you need to close them, you need them to buy into this fucking course. Ugh, fucking hell.
My job is to get you uncomfortable every single day of the course, right?
Yeah.
That's 8 weeks. If I can do that, by the end of the course, you will be something that you won't even recognize. You'll be a proper entrepreneur with a revenue generating business, with clients that love you, that tell their friends how great you are, and you'll be able to do that from any city in the world. That's what I'm talking about here.
Fuck. That's how I feel right now. Can't fucking do it, man. Brian Rose. I feel frustrated.
What's it like being around those types of people that are kind of on their game?
It's just been surrounded by people that want you to win. and encouraging you and making you accountable. And I think that's what makes a difference. There's definitely strategies in place that hold people accountable, whether it's the doc, whether it's the team, the competition. And I'm sure there's lots of like psychological elements at play. Everyone's just got a dream and like we're all just there. It's awesome.
Let's talk about you on week 6. You design your low-cost product.
Yeah.
You get ready to sell it on the webinar. It's the moment we prepare the whole course for.
This is where all the magic happens. This is what we've been working for the last few weeks and months, because now is where we're gonna count those Benjamins. We're gonna make that money. Your customers are gonna vote with the most important weapon out there, which is their credit cards.
There's only actually 9 people.
This is crucial. This is where we're gonna turn the intellectual property in your brains into money in your bank account. I'm telling you, if you sell products here, you have a business.
Then 10 people show up. This is fucking terrible.
10's better than 1.
Oh, this is
It'll be
fucking...
11 with me.
This is really bad.
Come on, it's fine.
There's 11 people. Alright. Alright, I've got 53 people. Before we had 11, and I was like, fucking 11 people, mate. You're putting all these messages in for 11 people.
How can I check if I can hear you?
Let's fucking do
I'll
this
just
shit.
assume I can hear you.
Alright, let's do it. I'm starting now. 3, 2, 1. Boom! Can everybody hear me? Can everyone get a thumbs up? Can everybody hear? How you doing, guys? You excited to be here? Let me just stick this on. So what we're going to be going through today is something called Bulletproof the Body that you can incorporate in your lives. Did you train today?
Yeah.
Yeah? Because your body sent you a message. I want to move. I want to move. As kids, our body sends us messages. We want to move. However, sometimes we get so busy with work, with other things that are going on in our lives, we don't hear those messages.
Amazing, amazing. Thank
Come on,
you.
man. Are you going to join me on this course?
Sorry?
Are you joining us? Are you joining us on this course?
Already did.
Boom. Welcome. Awesome, man. Look, I really look forward to welcoming you into the Facebook group.
Thank you.
No worries. Are you joining me? Are you joining us? Yeah.
Any problems, email.
But I'm gonna try. I don't know what's happening.
What's trying? I'm gonna try and train my body. I never heard of that before. I heard of doing. Cool. Are you joining us?
I am joining you, yeah.
Boom. Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining me. That's the end of the webinar. But there's sales, man, and this means there's a business. There's a fucking business. Fucking teammate, fucking team.
I'm
Thanks,
sorry.
Evan.
It was a pleasure. Well done. I'm very proud of you.
Cheers, babe. It's online products.
I just want to say massive thanks for pushing me way beyond my zone.
Amazing, Roger. Well done.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a real business right there.
This like has been freaking life changing for me. I'm not like worried about paying the mortgage next month, and like seriously, it's like life changing.
How many did you sell up to now?
20 grand.
$20,000.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
That's insane. Like a few weeks ago, I was getting the 5 o'clock train every morning into London to do my personal training sessions. And now I have to go to my laptop and I can change people's lives.
Look, man, let's build something great together. Let's affect 1 million lives. Let's just really change the game.
Thanks so much, as always, for pushing it. Much appreciation for making me do this.
That video gave me some tears. Man, I still remember Roger really struggling with himself, with his business. I remember when he came into the office and he was asking me about the course. He knew about my course for a year or two, and I would see him in the park sometimes, and I'd be like, dude, like, when are you gonna take the business accelerator? He'd be like, yeah. And he got to the point where everyone makes a decision, and it's because of inspiration or desperation. And let's be honest, folks, most of you make a decision because of desperation, including me. That's how I made most of my decisions in my life. And so he got to a point where he's like, Brian, I'm literally gonna die. And so I was like, join the course. But again, even though he was a friend of mine, I said, you're gonna pay full price, because when you pay full price, you're gonna go all in. And he's like, no discounts? I said, no, if I discount it, you're gonna have a reason to quit. I said, you're gonna pay full price like everybody else, and when the going gets tough, and you saw how tough it was for him, then he put in the work because he didn't want to lose the money that he had put at stake. And that's this concept called pay price to action. It's called skin in the game. And it means that when you actually pay for something, you're more likely to become the better version of yourself. And I learned this a long time ago when I paid money for a course, and when it got hard, I kept showing up because I didn't want to just lose my money. And so it's a key component of the accountability process that we use in the Business Accelerator. That's why I don't do any scholarships. I don't do any students. I never discount my courses. Because as soon as I do, it means people don't show up. And it means it's basically a waste of my time. And if I'm putting in my own personal mentoring every single week, and I'm literally like sweating and bleeding to get you across the goal line, well, then you better goddamn well be there and be willing to sacrifice. And the one way I know you're going to be there is when I charge you money for the course. And so that's why we do this. Again, we do this a couple times a year. I take a group of 100 people from around the world, and we all go through this thing like a SEAL platoon. And we go through each piece. We all look out for each other. We ended up becoming really close to each other, and then everyone comes for an optional graduation ceremony here in December, which is a ton of fun. We have a big party here at the studio. We have a big dinner. We go to museums. We go to walking tours. It's a lot of fun. So that's all happening. And look, if you think this is something for you, come check it out. If it's not, it's all good. But it's londonreal.tv/biz, B-I-Z. You can learn more about it. This class will fill up. It always does. It's always oversubscribed. And then people always come back later saying, is that still open? It's like, no. So it will close in the next couple days. And I have a masterclass on Thursday that you can sign up, londonreal.tv/masterclass. And again, I've got literally thousands of stories like Roger, people that stepped up, and this literally changed the course of their life. And again, $20,000, not a lot of money in the long run, but it showed him the proof of the business, and it put him in a situation where now he can do wherever he wants. He's actually literally traveling the world as we speak and doing his business. So just want to say congratulations, Roger. You deserve it because you went into the pain and the fear. And I didn't show you even half the things he sent me where he was like, Brian, I hate you. Why do you make me do this? And I would reply to him and say, Roger, because I'm going to get the very best out of you, and you're going to have something you're proud of. And he kept going in and going into the fear and going into the pain and the self-doubt. That's why he has that business. And if you're prepared to do that and you're really tired of working for someone you hate, doing work you don't like, living paycheck to paycheck, this is the thing for you. But it's not a walk in the park, you know? It takes some mental fortitude, but I'm here to get you through every step of the way. So that's the Business Accelerator. Again, you can find out more with links inside. Would love to see you inside there. It's a life-changing experience. I had a call from one of my former graduates who just built a $60 million business, and he said, Brian, you can't use my name, but he said, you are the most incredible person I've ever met when it comes to personal development. You taught me that I was playing small, that I wasn't going big, and that I could be so much bigger. And he said, you're one of the reasons I built this amazing business. And I was like, dude, my pleasure, man. I really like these people. They're actually part of the family, and I'll know these guys and gals for the rest of my life. And it's just what we're doing here at London Real. So love it. Again, check it out. If you want to get out of your comfort zone, this is the best way to do it. All right, folks. I've been reading the comments in YouTube. Some of you are saying, Brian, stop talking about business. Let's talk about fighting. Okay, that's fine, man. For me, business is my form of fighting, right? It's how I get out there and show people what I got, right? I'm getting on a few years. I can't necessarily get in the cage with Khabib or Conor, although maybe I'd like to try. But now I want to talk about the fight coming up this weekend, October 6th. It's on in Las Vegas. Conor McGregor against Khabib Nurmagomedov. And this is a fascinating fight. It's been brewing for a long time. Again, I have a long history of mixed martial arts training, of going to UFC since UFC 38. So that means I've watched almost 200 UFCs. I have been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since 2002. I got my purple belt around 08 or 07. I've trained in Thai boxing, boxing, broke my nose in Thailand. I broke my arm at the London Shoot Fighters in boxing. I'm not proud of these things, but it's what happened. I have not been in a fight. So people are asking me, if Tai Lopez wants to fight me. My record is technically 0-0. And as I said this weekend on a video, I like Tai. I know Tai. I know he rolls Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with some of the Gracie brothers in LA. But let's be honest. Tai Lopez wouldn't last 20 seconds with me on the mat, in the ring, boxing, MMA rules, pancreas rules. At checkers, Tai wouldn't last. It's just true. And he might have 10 years on me, but there's certain things you can't teach, and that's mental fortitude. So anyways, I'm ready to take the Pepsi challenge. I don't think Tai will do it because I think he's too busy renting cars and renting girls and whatever else he does. But I'm willing to go and make this happen. So you let me know, and if not, that's fine. I'm still training. I'm training with Ross Nichols, who's one of the best in the business in no-gi jiu-jitsu. He competes at Polaris here in the UK. He's at Abu Dhabi this weekend. I train with him at Gymbox Farringdon at one of the Roger Gracie affiliates. So I'm training there. I'm getting back into striking. You can see I'm posting some videos. I'm switching my stances, going southpaw. I'm doing all these spinning techniques. I'm watching McGregor. So, folks, I'm in there mixing it up, and I love the sport. I've been a fan for a long time. As I said, I used to travel to Japan to watch the Pride Fighting Championships. I saw Rampage fight. I saw Murilo Bustamante fight Dan Henderson. I went down to Rio de Janeiro to meet Bustamante. Back then, Brazilian top team had Anderson Silva, the Nogueira brothers, Murilo Bustamante, Husamar Palhares was down there. This is old school, baby. This is really old school, back in like 06, 07. And it was an amazing setup of people, and I was just blown away by who was on the mat. It was like, honestly, one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And so I've been a big fan of the sport. Again, never competed for the record, Tai, but I would love to. And I know I'm 47, but as long as Mariana says it's okay, then I'm in. So that's my background when it comes to fighting. I've been following Conor McGregor for a long time. A lot of you don't know. He used to fight in local competitions here in England. And I know a lot of guys that knew him up and coming, and people were talking about him for a long time. Obviously, I saw him join the UFC. He got the knee injury, and he was out, and then he started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We actually had an opportunity to have him in studio a few years ago, but it was like, well, you need to fly him in, and we didn't have any budget for that, so I actually didn't get the chance. Of course, I know Ido Portal very well. I'm a huge fan of Ido and his view on movement. He is the only he's the only guy when it comes to human movement in the world, in my opinion. Everyone else is down here. And Conor, of course, Ido trains Conor McGregor, and they're very close, and it's been great to see their relationship blossom. And so I've been watching Conor McGregor like we all have, and it's been incredible what he's done. And if you watch him the last 2 years, a lot of things have changed. He got the 2 belts, which was something that only a few champions have done in history, which is being a champ at 2 different weight classes, very difficult to do. He was the 145 and the 155 champ at the same time. Soon after, the UFC stripped his belts, and he was on an interview last night with the Mac Life, which is his own YouTube channel, and he said that bothered him, and I understand why it bothered him. In the UFC, I see it from Dana White's perspective. On one standpoint, you can't have belts waiting for someone who might not fight for 6 and 12 months. On the other hand, Conor earned both of those belts. It's very difficult to do that. I think the only person that's done that is Cormier recently, Dan Henderson back in the day. Maybe there's been a couple others. It's hard to do. And we just saw Rory McDonald, the Red King, who's been our guest on London Real, and I really like Rory, and we're getting, we trade messages every now and then. He tried to go up and fight Gegard Mousasi at Bellator and take the 185 belt, and you saw how hard it is to go up and fight a guy that's just bigger than you by 15 pounds. It's no walk in the park. And so, Rory had a really hard night with Gegard. Pretty much everything went wrong. He even admitted that he kind of froze. But Gegard played it by the book, and Rory had that kind of slide in, tackle the 50-50 guard. Just not a good idea with a bigger guy in MMA. And it might have worked out, but it ended up really bad for him. So we know how hard it is. Conor did it. The belts got stripped. I know him and Dana have a contentious relationship. But when money's on the line, folks, you always have to negotiate. And Conor's a master negotiator, and I believe he'll always have a tenuous relationship with the UFC. Obviously, he went on to fight Floyd Mayweather last year for that gala spectacle. Rumors are he made $100 million. I don't know if that's true. I hear it's more like 60, but it's still enough change to make you relatively happy. Also, Conor grew up very poor. I remember even in the UFC saying, I'm on the dole still. So for him, you know, new money when you don't have money, it behave differently than if you had a little bit of money. And so you kind of go crazy, you buy lots of stuff, and as Dana said, after a while that gets old, and you go back to what you're passionate about, right? Back to the business accelerator. Do what you love, right? And then you'll never work a day in your life. And so Conor's come back and said, you know what? This is the thing that makes me feel most human, that makes me feel most alive, to get locked in a cage with another man who's at the top of his game and to see, literally, it's a fight to the death. And that's what people don't understand about MMA versus boxing. Boxing, I love boxing. I respect boxing. It's a beautiful, sweet science, and I wish I was better at it. But MMA is a fight to the death. You literally are choking a guy out that if there wasn't a ref, he would be dead. You know, literally think about what they're doing in there. You're going to die. And so it's serious business, and I know Conor loves competing on the highest level, and he did an interview last night with the Mac Life. And Conor's not been doing press, and you can see him at that last press conference with Khabib. He's an angry guy. And as Dana said, that press conference got dark. And Conor is the best at psychological warfare. He's better than Muhammad Ali by a long shot. And I honestly love watching the press conferences, sometimes more than the fights. And his 3 press conferences with Mayweather, I don't think we've ever seen anything like that in the history of the world. It was part comedy show, part improv, part fight, part not fight. I loved watching those things, and each one was different. And I think each one took an emotional toll. And last night you saw Conor talk about that, and he said, this was some circus that you put me on, this media circus. And I think it bothered him. And I think it might have actually affected the way he fought that night with Mayweather. I think he didn't want to be a monkey in a circus. And so this time you can see Conor specifically not doing media. Even though it could help his pay-per-view sales, even though it could help his psychological war with Khabib, he's still not doing it. And he's doing it his way. And I find that very interesting. And I can't wait to watch the press conference on Thursday in Vegas. I expect a subdued McGregor. And I've seen him do this before, where a couple months out the fight, he's in your face, he's grabbing belts, he's throwing whiskey on you if you're a Muslim, right? And then up in the press conference, he's calm and he's ready to fight. And that's the Conor I think we're going to see on Thursday. We'll see. The face-off will be interesting. Let's talk about Khabib. Look, he's from Dagestan. These guys are some of the greatest wrestlers in the world, a.k.a. American Kickbox Academy. That's where the savages train, right? Luke Rockhold, Daniel Cormier, right? I mean, come on, these are gladiators, right? That's what's going on in there. And Khabib works hard. These guys work harder than pretty much anyone out there. They have a wrestling background. Wrestlers are some of the toughest guys in the room. They literally try to break each other mentally every day in the practice room. This is the wrestler's mentality in America. I wrestled for a year in high school. I know that mentality. You go until the other guy cries. And a lot of guys have been known to cry, right? Even Daniel Cormier admitted that he cried on the mat. This is the guy that's now the current heavyweight and light heavyweight champion of the world. This is how hard these guys go in. Khabib is the top of his game. He's actually unbeaten in mixed martial arts in the UFC. Unbeaten. And he's going up against Conor. It's going to be an incredible fight. Different styles, right? They say styles make fights. Khabib is a wrestling background, right? So that's what he knows. Sure, he can strike and he's got submissions, but he really is a wrestler. The great thing about wrestlers is they control where the fight goes. Does it stay standing up? Does it go to the ground? The wrestler decides. Conor is a striker. That really is what he does. He's got a move. He's a mover. He can move in. He can move out. He's got spinning back, everything. And he's known for dominating and closing down the space, making you feel suffocated and uncomfortable in the ring. And that's what I expect Conor to come out with, that bravado, that ego, that dominance, that I'm just going to own you. Watch all of his mannerisms. He is fighting the fight even before he gets into the cage. And that's what we're going to see on Saturday. We're going to see a striking display from Conor. And I am making my prediction right now. I am predicting Conor McGregor KOs Khabib in the second round. That is my prediction. It's not going to be an easy night. Khabib is a naturally bigger guy than Conor. Conor is able to cut to 145, although I wouldn't want to see him make that cut now. He's obviously fought at 170 against Nate Diaz. He's fought at 55, but he's naturally a smaller guy than Khabib. So this weight cut's going to be interesting. I know it's hard for Conor. He even said in his interview last night that he doesn't like doing media and the weight cut. He said the weight cut is one of the things that no one talks about in this business. It's one of the most difficult, painful, most evil things a fighter has to go to. And you can see this weight cut's already having a toll on Conor. That's why he's keeping it really low. And it means this press conference, you're watching a press conference, but don't forget, you're watching also a guy trying to drain all of the fluids out of his body and starving him of food for a weigh-in that's going to happen on Friday where he has to rehydrate. So he's going to be in a grumpy, angry mood at that press conference. He also might not be willing to get in Khabib's face. So it's a real mental battle there. If you've ever fasted for a couple days, you know what it's like. It's really not nice. and it'll put you really off mentally, and that's why a lot of the guys seem a little off when they do media. So that's my prediction for the fight. It could go anywhere. The only other thing that can happen is Khabib's going to try to grind him down. We've seen Khabib do that, but we've seen him, his most recent fight, he actually didn't finish the guy over 5 rounds, which was pretty incredible. So look, anything can happen. It doesn't mean Khabib doesn't have ground and pound, but my money's going to go on Conor, but this is not going to be an easy night for anybody. So again, Conor McGregor, KO in the second round. I'm super excited. This should be the biggest pay-per-view of all time. The only thing that would be better is if Nate Diaz was in there. 209, where are you at, homie? I love Nate Diaz, and of course, Nick Diaz. I've been a fan for a long, long time. So I want to see Diaz, McGregor 3 after this fight. So that's my prediction. The other fight on the card, of course, is going to be Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Showtime Pettis. I'm a huge fan of Ferguson, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. I had Eddie Bravo on the show back in the day. I interviewed him in LA and in London. I'm a huge fan of the system. I play around with some rubber guard every now and then. I love those guys. I love their no-gi system. And Tony Ferguson is just a badass, right? El Kukui, this guy. Watch the way his face changes in the last 2 years, and watch the emergence of the face of a champion. Watch the way Conor McGregor's face changes. It's really interesting to see how someone actually becomes a different persona as they pay the cost to be the boss. So look at how Tony looks. Anthony Showtime Pettis, I've been a big fan of him since he did that, jumping off the cage with one foot and kicking Benson Henderson in the face with his other foot. I'm a huge fan of Benson Henderson, by the way. I'd love to come out and see you and train with you in Phoenix. That would be a dream. I'm a huge fan of you, but I love that fight with Showtime Pettis, and I can't wait to see these two guys mix it up. I'm also excited that in case Khabib can't make weight or drops out, Conor can fight one of these guys and we can see a great show. Happened once. I actually think Khabib's going to make weight. But this is a great fight. It's going to be interesting to see who's next. Who am I predicting for the fight? You know, Pettis has had a hard time lately. He won his last fight, but he's had a hard few fights with that. When he's on point with striking, he can be unbeatable. But Tony Ferguson is a bad motherfucker, man. He's a badass. He's got sick jiu-jitsu, but he really goes for a stand-up. So tough to call, but I'm going to call Ferguson there, probably for a decision because they're both tough guys. So that's my prediction. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the UFC is an incredible way to see the human spirit. And I think that's why so many people love Conor and why we pay him millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to fight. Because I believe a fight is like a small play, but played seriously. Okay, I just quoted Bruce Lee from the movie Enter the Dragon, but it's true. And when we see that fight play out, we see human dealing with adversity, and we see humans at their best. We see them almost ready to quit. We see them pushing through pain. We've seen Conor get choked out in the cage and come back. This is a story of human life. It teaches us about human struggle, about how we all are better than we think we are, how we all can overcome insurmountable odds, and that's why we like fighting. Because as Dana White used to say, fighting's in our DNA. If you see a bunch of kids playing basketball and a bunch of kids playing cricket like they would in London and a bunch of kids playing baseball, if a fight breaks out, what happens? They all stop what they're doing and they go watch the fight. What does that tell you? Fighting's in our DNA, right? That's why it will always be something that we love to watch, because it's just something that's in us. It's why I love to practice it and push myself. And trust me, I'm the last kid you would ever expect to be rolling jiu-jitsu or boxing or Thai boxing. I was the geeky science guy in school, right, that used to get picked on. I'd like to meet some of those guys now. But a lot of guys in jiu-jitsu are actually these kind of like jiu-jitsu nerds, you know, and you don't have to have this really alpha, I'm going to kill everybody personality to be a great fighter. In fact, almost every single fighter I've ever met are the nicest, kindest guys. They have the most gentle handshakes in the world because they don't have to prove anything to you. It's the bullies that are usually insecure, that are usually trying to project power because of their own insecurity. So anyways, look, I kept talking here. I'd love to answer a few questions here about UFC 229. Again, it's going to be live in Vegas. I'm probably not going to stay up. I'm going to probably watch it the next morning. So stay off social and don't spoil it for me. But I'm too old to stay up till 6 in the morning to watch a fight. I didn't do it for Mayweather, and I'm not going to do it for this one, but I will watch it first thing. Would love to get any of your thoughts here. I'm checking you out on YouTube. Tony Ferguson wins. You agree with me. Sean DFC, he agrees on Conor KO. Thank you very much. Let me see. We got Nate's chin. Conor has no heart when his back's up to the wall. I disagree. I think he fights really good off the cage if you watched him a few times. 20 seconds before Nate made him tap. Look, Conor did tap. We all saw it. I think he overestimated his own cardio, and he hit Nate with so many punches in the face that he thought he could finish him. I mean, Nate was eating punches like sandwiches. And I think Conor was like, why isn't this going down? And he punched himself out. And when he got tired, I'm sorry, 209, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, you're just going to get jacked. You saw Conor in his next fight. His cardio was back on point, and he paced himself through that Diaz fight, and he went the 5 rounds. So I think he's well aware now about what he can do and what he can't do. You're seeing a well-seasoned fighter. He's an experienced fighter. And look at Conor's demeanor. I mean, wow, there's something just powerful about that man, disturbing about him. He's angry. He doesn't give a fuck about money, which makes someone very dangerous. That's why I tell my Business Accelerator students, get your money right, because you're unstoppable, right? When you don't have to do what other people say because of money, you can do what you want. And that's what Conor's doing. He's like no other fighter in the UFC roster. He doesn't care if you like him. He doesn't need your money. He's going in there for the personal test, you know? And that's how I kind of feel like with London Real sometimes. I'm going in there to push myself every single day. And I don't care what anyone says or what anyone does. I'm on my own mission. Imagine if we all could do that in life. And so this is exciting to watch. Again, I think we're in the most exciting times of our life. I think Conor McGregor is one of the most exciting figures we've ever seen, both inside and outside the ring, to see what it's like in his brain, to see the way that comments affect him and people's perception affects him. And it's difficult being Conor McGregor and never think that it's not. And it's amazing to see this man do all of that and get in the ring and stay focused. And there's always one thing I remember Conor saying, that he says as he walks into the cage, and you'll watch him on Saturday walk into the cage, it's like, he said, it's like the chains are falling off of me. And when I get into the cage, I'm actually free. And that's when I can actually be myself. And I can go toe-to-toe with another human and do what I do best, which is lay down a beat down. And he said, outside of the cage, I feel like I've got chains on me. And what an amazing, amazing concept. And so think about how that applies in your life. You know, what are the things that make you feel chained down? And what are the things that make you feel free? Go do those things. Put yourself in places where you can do those. So anyways, I'd love to hear a few of my last comments. I'm here on Facebook. Jesse Brown said, thank you so much for helping so much. Lazio Daniel giving me kisses and hugs. Thank you, buddy. And again, thank you for everybody on YouTube. I love all things. Alex Freely, I watched that interview on the Mac Life. It's really good. I love the guy that commentates for the Mac Life that Conor hired. He's an Irish kid that used to do some other media, but he's really good. I'm a huge fan of the way he conducts himself, and I like the Mac Life. I like what he's doing there. But yeah, Alex has said he seems different. There's something very different about Conor. They even said in his own camp he's very quiet. I think, you know, he really was dealing with a lot of the things in the last 2 years. He hasn't fought MMA in 2 years. The Mayweather thing, I think, took a toll on him that we don't understand. I think having the money changes you. I think it involves, Dana White once said that when you get money, you get Klingons. And he's not talking about those Star Trek villains. He's talking about people that just want to cling on to you like barnacles on a ship, and you got to deal with it. You know, more money, more problems, and you got a lot of weird energy in the room. And I think Conor's just trying to stay focused. And for me, it's not just the fight in the cage. It's fascinating watching a man like that be a man on this high stage with the high stakes and putting the money in and throwing a loss. I always say, watch a fighter after their first major loss and see if they come back. Most don't. And that's the story of your life. It's been the story of my life. You know, I came back from a self-imposed near-death experience, yeah? As you know from the movie Iron Mind, which is coming out soon, my own heroin overdose. What's the comeback like? That's when you really see true character. You know, anybody can win 5 fights in a row. What happens when you lose in brutal fashion and get choked unconscious in front of the world? Can you come back and perform? That's what makes a man. That's what makes an interesting story. And that's what we're going to see Conor McGregor do on Saturday. So super excited for that. And again, just wrapping up here at London Real. We got some great guests coming up this week. We've got Mantak Chia back in the house, the man who understands sexual energy from Asia so well. I love talking with Mantak. If you watch his episode, they've been watched millions of times. We have Dorian Yates back in the house, Mr. 6-time Mr. Olympia is going to be back, again, our biggest guest of all time. We've got Nimi Delgado, which is a vegan bodybuilder. He's been on Rich Roll. He's going to be back in the house. And finally, we're going to be dropping the final movie feature-length documentary of Iron Mind. It's the greatest piece of content we've ever created. We debuted it to a world premiere audience 2 weeks ago here in London. There were tears in the house. It affected people on a massive level, and I know it's going to change your life, this film. And again, it's my journey to my very first Ironman triathlon. I did it on a 100% plant-based diet at 47 years of age. I had never competed in an endurance race in my life. I also went back to New York City and confronted my demons when it came to addiction, opiate addiction, heroin overdose, and this deep, dark secret I kept from my family, my wife, my friends for 16 years. I talked all about it. And of course, joining me on this adventure is John Joseph, the lead singer of the hardcore punk band, the Cro-Mags. He talks about his own sexual abuse as a child, his crack addiction, and coming back to compete in 10 full Ironman races, right? I did a half Ironman. John does full Ironmans. These are 12-hour adventures. He's 56 years old. This is a story about human adversity, about childhood trauma, about addiction, and how we can all become the best versions of ourselves through going hard every day, not accepting excuses, putting in your daily practice, going into the fear, constantly staying busy, and constantly challenging yourself. That's what we stand for here at London Real. And I love spending time with you in this new format, Real Deal. Please give me comments below. Tell me what you thought of this. Was the business stuff helpful? Was the fighting stuff helpful? I think it's all the same thing. It's all about confronting your fears and seeing people go out there and be the best humans possible, right? Whether it's great businessmen like Elon Musk and Richard Branson, or all my students like John McMahon and Roger Frampton and Virginia Zarnacki. They're all heroes in my mind. Or whether we're going to watch Khabib or Conor or Tony or Anthony Pettis go out there on the highest stage possible. Again, what was it that President Roosevelt once said? There's the man in the stands and there's the man in the arena. Yeah? It's easy to point the finger at Conor or at my students or at other people and say, oh, you're not doing it right. Oh, look, you tripped up. Oh, look at you, you suck. Guess what? They're in the arena. Get in the arena. Stop being a commentator and get in there and see what it's like with the pressure. See what it's like when everyone's talking crap. See what it's like when you're cutting weight. See what it's like when all the critics are there. Guess what we remember? The man in the arena, not the man who criticizes that other man. And it means you got to step out of your comfort zone. You got to put it all on the line and you got to step it up to the plate and make it happen. Those are the people that I look to. I don't look at all the comments. I don't really care. I look at the people that get out there and make things happen. So make sure that's you today. Step it up. If you want to join us on the Business Accelerator, I'd love to welcome you in. LondonReal.tv/biz, B-I-Z. Join me on the masterclass on Thursday. Just go out there and push yourself to be the best version of yourself. And that's all I got to say. I'll see you guys next week on Real Deal.
London Real doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought. And then comes the action. The London Real Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, we have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level, together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon.